No wonder Taylor Swift is one of the most successful artists in history. But what if I told you that her journey wasn't always filled with applause and awards? Imagine being a little girl with big dreams, writing songs in her bedroom, hoping someone, anyone, would listen. Now, picture this. She finally gets the chance to perform for record labels in Nashville, the heart of country music. She plays her heart out, only to be told she isn't good enough. That could have been the end of her dream. But Taylor Swift is no ordinary artist. This is the story of how a young girl from Pennsylvania turned rejection into revolution, reinvented the music industry, and proved that no one, not even the biggest names in the business, could control her fate. Taylor grew up in a small town, writing poetry before she even knew how to play an instrument. When she was 9 years old, she saw a documentary about country star Faith Hill and told herself, "I'm going to be a country singer." Her parents saw her determination and took a leap of faith. They moved to Nashville, Tennessee, the country music capital of the world, hoping Taylor could break into the industry. But Nashville wasn't welcoming. Taylor knocked on every record label's door, handing out her demo CDs. Every single one rejected her. Imagine a 14-year-old girl hearing over and over, "You don't have the voice for country. You won't make it in this industry. You're just another small-town girl with big dreams." Most people would have given up. But Taylor? She decided to write her own story. Taylor didn't just sit around waiting for a second chance. She created one. Instead of trying to fit in, she stood out. She started writing her own songs, performing at fairs, coffee shops, anywhere that had a stage. One day, at the Bluebird Cafe, a small Nashville venue, a record executive named Scott Borchetta saw her perform, and he made a decision that would change music forever. At just 14 years old, Taylor became the first artist signed to Big Machine Records. She wasn't a typical country star. She was a teenager with a guitar and raw emotions that spoke directly to her generation, and the world was finally ready to listen. Taylor's debut album, Taylor Swift, 2006, put her on the map, but it was Fearless, 2008, that turned her into a household name. Songs like Love Story and You Belong With Me became anthems for millions. At just 20 years old, she won her first Album of the Year Grammy, becoming the youngest artist ever to do so, but success comes with a price. At the 2009 VMAs, as she accepted her award, Kanye West stormed the stage, taking the mic from her hand and publicly humiliating her. For a moment, it seemed like the world was against her. Would she let this break her? Not a chance. After facing public humiliation on one of the biggest stages in the world, most artists would have crumbled under the pressure. But Taylor? She did what she had always done. She turned pain into power. She disappeared from the spotlight for a while, but when she returned, she wasn't the same girl the world had known before. She had transformed. Her music, her style, even the way she carried herself, it was all different, and people noticed. Her new sound was bolder, her lyrics sharper. She no longer sang just about love and heartbreak. She sang about survival, about rising from the ashes. The world wasn't just listening anymore. They were watching in awe, but with every transformation came new challenges. People questioned if she could keep reinventing herself, if she could stay relevant in an industry that moves on so quickly, and once again, she proved them wrong. Just when she thought she had control over her career, something happened that changed everything. One day, she woke up to find out that the very music she had poured her heart and soul into, the songs that had defined her journey, was no longer hers. A business deal had been made behind closed doors. The rights to her own records had been sold without her consent. Years of work stolen in an instant. She was devastated, furious, betrayed. Most artists in her position would have walked away, accepted defeat. But Taylor, she did something no one saw coming. If they took her music, she would take it back. She refused to let someone else profit from her story. So she went into the studio and started recording every song all over again. And this wasn't just about reclaiming ownership. This was about sending a message to every artist, to every creator, to everyone who had ever been told they didn't have control over their own work. She turned what could have been the greatest loss of her career into one of the greatest victories the music industry had ever seen. By now, the world understood something about Taylor Swift. She wasn't just a singer. She wasn't just a songwriter. She was a force. She had defied expectations time and time again, refused to be silenced, refused to be controlled. Her concerts were no longer just performances. They were movements. Her fans weren't just listeners. They were believers, inspired by the story of a girl who had built an empire with nothing but a guitar, a dream, and an unshakable determination. And yet, despite everything she had achieved, she never stopped growing. She kept evolving, kept pushing boundaries, kept proving that no matter how many times the world tried to box her in, she would always find a way to break free. So, what's the lesson here? Rejection is inevitable. Betrayal is inevitable. There will be moments when the world tells you that you're not good enough, that you don't belong, that your dreams are too big. But those moments don't define you. What you do next does. Taylor Swift didn't let rejection stop her. She didn't let failure break her. She turned every setback into a comeback, every loss into a lesson, and if she could do it, if a small-town girl with nothing but a dream could change the world, so can you. If this story inspired you, don't forget to follow for more, because the next legendary story could be yours.